I, 18-year-old female, and my boyfriend, 19-year-old male, have been dating since we started college in October 2021. For the past, I would say, 8 months, my boyfriend has become very interested in UFC, mixed martial arts. I don't know what to call it. He gets up at like 3 a.m. to watch fights, and often has play fights with his friends. One of these friends is important in this situation. I'll call him S. We had a very large group of friends, and we all graduated in the summer, but we all kept in touch over summer until now. Now these play fights, or spars, as my boyfriend would say, were all fun and games, but they actually led my boyfriend to believe he could actually fight, because S, who says he does MMA, said he's naturally good. This led to a massive ego, and he said he wanted to have an actual fight. And one of our other friends' dad owned a gym with a ring, and he said he could let him fight there. I don't know if that was even legal. S proposed a guy for him to fight, and it was a guy back from school, I'll call A. S was friends with, are not close friends, and I knew A because we used to sit next to each other in class. S said he'll try to get a hold of him. A agreed, shockingly. When A agreed, I did express some concern to my boyfriend, multiple times, and he didn't listen. A was a quiet guy, but as we sat next to each other for a year, I knew probably more than others about him. He was pretty much just one of those traditionally masculine males in a physical sense. He worked out 6 days a week, rode horses and did archery, and owned large dogs. But he was one of those guys that looked intimidating, but was actually a nerdy and friendly guy. My boyfriend didn't like A or A's friends, and neither did the rest of the boys in our friends group. I always questioned my boyfriend on this, as A had literally never even spoken to him. And my boyfriend used to say it's because A is so arrogant and thinks he's so good looking. This led to a lot of arguments with my boyfriend, because why did my boyfriend care if other women were attracted to A when he had me? Nobody knew if A could fight, but S said he told him something about how he had been training in some form of martial arts. The whole build-up to this, my boyfriend was acting so childish. He constantly tried to insult A in a group chat that was made, but A wouldn't even open them 90% of the time, and I don't think he responded once. When the fight came along, there was only one outcome from the start. A was visibly towering over my boyfriend, and he had clearly bulked up. On top of that, it turned out he could fight. My boyfriend lost, I would say, 90 seconds. After it, I didn't bother consoling him. I berated him because I expressed my concern multiple times, and he chose not to listen to me. He said I'm an AH because I should support him unconditionally if I really loved him. He now won't speak to me because he says I embarrassed him in front of his friends while he was vulnerable. Part of me feels bad, but I feel like he needed to hear the truth. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Everyone sucks here. Boyfriend is an idiot for the ego, but you also could have waited to bash him further in private, not in front of everyone. Also, what the hell is with all the comments encouraging dumping boyfriend for A? Go be with the guy that bashed your boyfriend in what was likely a setup fight. Like, what the hell is wrong with you people? Yes, boyfriend was acting like a tool, but all I've seen in this thread is OP highlighting all these amazing features of A, but not once talking about her boyfriend or any of his qualities. Do you even like your boyfriend, OP, or are you just fantasizing about the guy you seem to know way too much about? Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. Your boyfriend sounds like he was looking for an excuse to bully and humiliate someone he didn't like. He messed around and found out, and you are right that it sounds like he deserved it. This side of him generally sounds unpleasant and mean. He's definitely a jerk, berating him in front of his friends after just losing the fight. That wasn't necessary and could have happened in private later. Kicking someone you love when they are down is also a jerk move. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I really appreciated the support and advice. A lot has happened since then, and I just had to come back to update you all on the chaos that ensued. So, after the fight where my boyfriend got totally schooled by A, things went from bad to worse. My boyfriend, let's call him J, was humiliated, and his ego was bruised more than his face. He wouldn't talk to me for days, and when he finally did, it was to blame me for not being supportive. I reminded him that I had expressed my concerns multiple times, but he just wouldn't listen. Now here's where things get even more twisted. Remember S, the friend who suggested A as an opponent for J? Well, it turns out that S had been stirring the pot way more than any of us realized. S had been egging J on, telling him he was a natural fighter and could easily take A down. But behind J's back, S was laughing with his other friends about how J was going to get destroyed. It was like S set the whole thing up for his own entertainment. The injustice of it all was that S had been pretending to be Jay's friend while setting him up for a fall. And the worst part, Jay refused to believe it when I told him what S had been doing. Jay thought S was his buddy, his mentor in the world of fighting, but really, S was just using him for a laugh. But wait, there's more. A, the quiet, horse-riding, archery-loving guy, had been training in martial arts for years. He wasn't just some random opponent. He was a skilled fighter. And the only reason he agreed to the fight was that S had told him some pretty nasty things that Jay supposedly said about him. Things that Jay never actually said. S had been playing both sides, manipulating the situation to create drama. The confrontation between Jay and me escalated when I found out that S had been spreading rumors about me too. He told people that I was the one who pushed Jay into the fight, that I wanted to see him get beaten up because I was secretly in love with A. That couldn't be further from the truth, but it caused a rift in our friend group, with some people actually believing S's lies. Jay and I had a huge argument about it. I tried to explain that S was the real problem here, but Jay was too proud and too stubborn to see it. He accused me of trying to turn him against his friends, and I just lost it. I told him that if he couldn't see S for who he really was, then maybe we shouldn't be together. In the midst of all this, A reached out to me. He apologized for the fight and said he never wanted to hurt Jay. He was just defending his own reputation. A and I ended up having a long conversation about everything that had happened. He was surprisingly understanding and even offered to talk to Jay to clear the air. But Jay was having none of it. He saw A's attempt to make peace as another sign of arrogance. The fallout from the fight was like a bomb going off in our friend group. Sides were taken, accusations were thrown, and friendships were broken. Jay was at the center of it all, refusing to see the truth about S and pushing away the people who cared about him the most. As for me, I was caught between my loyalty to Jay and my own sense of justice. I couldn't stand by and watch S manipulate and lie without doing something about it. So I gathered evidence of S's backstabbing. Screenshots of texts, recordings of conversations, anything that would prove he was the instigator. When I presented everything to Jay, he finally started to see the light. He was shocked and hurt, realizing that S had never been a true friend. But the damage was done. Jay's trust in people was shattered, and he became more withdrawn than ever. The last straw came when S, feeling the heat from being exposed, tried to turn the tables and blame everything on me. He said I was the one who had orchestrated the whole fight to break Jay and him apart. But by then, nobody was buying his lies anymore. Jay and I are still together, but things are strained. He's apologized for not listening to me, but there's a distance between us that wasn't there before. He's trying to rebuild his friendships, but it's hard when so much trust has been broken. As for S, he's pretty much been ostracized from our group. His manipulations and lies finally caught up with him, and he's left dealing with the consequences of his actions alone. Mom cancels daughter's art show for bad grades, so I expose her toxic ways. She's shocked when the tables turn. And my mom has a friend, and they have a 13-year-old girl. Let's call her Jane. Recently, Jane and her mom have been fighting. Her mom says Jane is always on her phone, her grades are falling, and she isn't doing as well as she should be. Jane comes to me, crying, stressed about the pressure her mom is putting on her. Everyone in her household sides with her mom, and she's never felt more isolated from her own family. I told Jane that communication is important, where both sides are heard. Jane tells me that when they talk, her mom talks over her, and Jane starts crying so much she can't get a word out. Her mom wants the best for her, including good grades to get scholarships for good colleges. However, Jane tells me this pressure is too much, and no matter what, they can't have a proper conversation because it's always her mom taking control, just as how she does with everything. So with Jane's permission, I talk to her mom for her. Me. Jane feels like there's a lot of pressure on her, too much. She feels almost unsafe talking to you because she's scared of you. She feels like everything she's doing is for you, not for her. The first thought on her mind when she gets a test result is, I hope mom is happy about this, not, I'm proud of myself. She says she never feels proud because it feels like you're just constantly raising the bar for her. It's unrealistic, and you need to remember she's just a kid. Jane's mom. I worked hard to build this life for her, and it would be wasteful if she spent it all on her phone. If I didn't encourage her to do well, she would do worse. It's simple. I pay for extra tutoring, buy all the supplies she wants and needs, and I make sure she's rested enough to study well. I want her to live a good life, and that starts with good education. I don't expect you to understand it yet anyway. You're young and not a mother yet. You have no right to tell me how to raise my kid, so keep yourself out of my family's business. You don't live in our house, so how would you know the real story and not the fabricated one she told you? If she has a problem, she needs to learn how to talk to me about it. She has no reason to be scared, and at her age, I'm sure she's saying that for attention or to be dramatic. I think this way of thinking is more harmful than not, but I understand I'm not in your family. However, just letting you know, Jane has been crying for weeks about this, and this way of treating your kid is going to end up in her leaving you after she's 18 with no look back. Believe me or don't, but I know exactly what's going through her mind. And if you keep up this treatment, she's going to grow up loving you because you're her mother, but resenting you because you selfishly prioritized your own love as a mother before her as a person. Now I realize how harsh my last words were. Am I the idiot? Edit. I'm seeing a lot of people on both sides say that it's better for someone licensed to take over. Jane's mom does not believe in therapy or mental health, and bringing any depression or anxiety up would have made her more dismissive. She believes they are just emotions you should get over. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You told the truth, and you tried to help a minor who asked for it. You made your duty, and God knows, few adults would have heard and supported a minor against her parent. Jane's mother doesn't respect her as a person, and dismisses her distress, instead of listening to her and meeting her needs, and changes her own behavior. She is destroying her relationship with her child, and the self-esteem and mental health of her child. So yes, her daughter will suffer for years, if not decades, because of it, and will probably take her distance with her mother once she will be an adult. You offered to this mother an opportunity to fix her parental behavior. She refused. Big mistake for both her child and herself. Comment 2. Not the idiot. These are the people completely missing this. Jane comes to me, crying, stressed about the pressure her mom is putting on her. A kid literally crying about their parents, and they go, "Oh, mom is right. It's not like the kid does drugs or crime. They need to chill." People need to know, when kids fail in class, it's not because they're stupid or not studying or such. It's because the learning method is not their preference, hence why they are dropping grades. Also, she's stressed. That makes it even worse. Go talk to a school counselor about this. You are not butting in since she cried to you. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a month since I last posted about Jane and her mom, and boy, do I have an update for you. Remember how Jane was struggling with the pressure from her mom, and how I tried to intervene? Well, things took a turn, and not in the way you might expect. After our conversation, Jane's mom was fuming. She thought I was overstepping, and maybe I was, but I couldn't just watch Jane suffer. The next day, Jane's mom did something no one saw coming. She took away Jane's phone and grounded her indefinitely. Jane was devastated, and it seemed like things were only getting worse. But here's the twist. Jane's aunt, who had always been the cool, understanding one in the family, caught wind of what was happening. She had a long history with Jane's mom, her sister, and knew exactly how to handle her. The aunt had always been the peacemaker, the one who could smooth things over when tensions ran high. She had seen Jane grow up and knew how much potential she had, and she wasn't about to let that go to waste. One evening, Jane's aunt showed up, unannounced. She had a heart-to-heart with Jane's mom, reminding her of their own childhood and how they had faced similar pressures from their parents. She shared stories of their past, the good and the bad, and how it shaped them. She talked about the importance of balance and understanding, and how their parents' strictness had sometimes pushed them away rather than bringing them closer. Jane's mom listened, maybe for the first time in a long time. She was reminded of her own struggles and how she had always wanted to do better for her daughter. The aunt's words struck a chord, and slowly, Jane's mom began to see things from a different perspective. Meanwhile, Jane was buckling down. She started organizing study groups with her friends, which helped her grades start to climb back up. She was proving to her mom that she could handle her responsibilities without constant oversight. Jane's friends, who had always been her support system, were thrilled to see her taking charge of her life. They had seen her at her lowest and were now witnessing her rise from the ashes. The real jaw-dropping moment came when Jane's mom did something completely out of character. She apologized to Jane. It was a simple, quiet moment, but it meant the world to Jane. Her mom admitted that she had been too harsh and that she was going to try to do better. She even suggested they start having weekly mother-daughter dinners, to talk about anything and everything, no pressure involved. The change in their household was palpable. Jane's mom started taking an interest in Jane's hobbies, asking about her friends, and even joining in on some of the study sessions to offer help in a supportive way. She was trying to build a relationship with her daughter that wasn't just based on academic success. As for Jane, she was like a new person. With the pressure dialed back, she was thriving. Her grades were up, but more importantly, she was happier. She had started to find pride in her accomplishments because they were hers, not just something to make her mom happy. And me? I was just glad to see Jane smiling again. I learned a lot about when to step in and when to step back. I'm not a parent, but I care about Jane like she's my own family. Seeing her and her mom start to heal their relationship was all I could have hoped for. Sister-in-law's in-laws ditch party, so she forces son to cut cake early. I watched, disgusted, as she played the victim and the truth unfolded. So my child was born on the 31st of December, 7 years ago, and each year we celebrate by having a family lunch at our house with my husband's family, since mine is in a different country. My sister-in-law got married 3 months ago and had a celebration lunch 2 weeks later. There we met her new in-laws, but we never connected or exchanged more than, "Hello, how are you? Goodbye." So they're practically strangers. They didn't interact at all with my child. Now it's my child's birthday, and my sister-in-law says that her in-laws will be in town, so they would come to the birthday lunch as well. I didn't feel like having strangers in the house for that special day, and my child didn't want them around, so I told my sister-in-law that she and her husband are welcome to come, but her in-laws can find something else to do for 3 hours. Here's what my sister-in-law decided to do. She came and brought her son, left him for the day to spend time and play with my child. Then she said to her mom and her brother, not my husband, to join her husband, and her in-laws for a morning coffee. The morning coffee turned into lunch, which turned into no one showing up for my child. Around 5 p.m, I tell my husband to call her and tell her to pick up her child. I was done babysitting him. She comes, alone, and sees that we didn't cut the cake, so she says, "Come on, let's sing and cut it." My child didn't want to. She wanted to leave it for later to do it just with her dad and me. My sister-in-law kept at it. Her son said he wants to try the cake, so reluctantly we sang "Happy Birthday" and we cut it. They had a slice and left. I also gave them a piece of cake to take with them for the in-laws. My husband and I decided to do at least something special for the day. I won't say how sad my girl was. So we went bowling. First time for my child. While in the car, my brother-in-law sent me a message saying that after the outing he had, he was sleepy and went to bed. Now he's up and wants to come over to give a gift to my child. I tell him we're not home. While we're bowling, my mother-in-law calls my husband. It was around 7 p.m. by now, and says she wants to pass by to give my husband a sweet she had prepared. I blow up and tell my husband that no one is welcome anymore. We'll go home and rest so we can be up for the New Year's fireworks. So, long story short, because I didn't invite the in-laws of my sister-in-law to my child's birthday party, no one showed up. The cherry on the cake is that I've been told that I'm the idiot for making my sister-in-law choose between my child and her in-laws, or for not celebrating the birthday another day. So, who's the idiot here? Also, for the past 4 days, my sister-in-law keeps asking to meet, which she never did before, which I gently refuse because I'm not ready to see her yet. Was it something so small that I should just forget about it? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Anyone who blew off my kid's birthday party would be someone I didn't speak to for months. They showed that your kid is at the bottom of their priorities. So they are now at the bottom of yours. They don't get to come over. They don't get to blame you for their cruelty. And they don't get to act like they didn't do this to your child because they wanted to punish you. And people who hurt children to punish their parents are monsters who shouldn't be around the child they just hurt. Comment 2. Oh my God, your poor kid. You're not the idiot. And your sister-in-law, using your kid's birthday to show who holds the power in the family, is disgusting. Free childcare while they all go for a nice coffee and lunch, and then they demand your daughter cuts her cake so her son can eat some. I swear I'd be throwing fists. Does your husband have zero backbone? Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support on my last post. It's been a wild week since my child's birthday disaster, and boy, do I have an update for you. After the birthday fiasco, things between my sister-in-law and me were tense to say the least. She kept trying to meet up, but I wasn't ready to face her after she basically ditched my daughter's birthday for her in-laws. I thought it was pretty clear that our family lunch was important to us, especially since we've been doing it for 7 years straight. But apparently, that didn't matter to her. Now here's where things get really interesting. Remember how I mentioned my sister-in-law's in-laws were practically strangers to us? Well, turns out they're not as unfamiliar with my family as I thought. My husband, who's always been the peacemaker, decided to do some digging. He found out that his brother, my brother-in-law, had actually been in contact with his wife's parents for much longer than we knew. They had been secretly helping him with a business venture he started a year ago. This was news to us, because my brother-in-law had always been the type to keep his business dealings to himself. But wait, it gets juicier. My husband's sleuthing led to the discovery that my sister-in-law's in-laws had been pushing for a closer relationship with our family for months. They wanted to be more involved with our lives, especially with our child. My sister-in-law, feeling caught between her new family and us, had been trying to please everyone. That's why she was so insistent on bringing her son over on the birthday, and why she was pushing for the cake cutting. She was trying to make up for her in-law's absence and keep the peace. The confrontation finally happened when my sister-in-law showed up unannounced at our house 4 days after the birthday. She was in tears, apologizing for everything. She explained how she felt torn and didn't want to upset anyone. She admitted that she should have been upfront about her in-laws' intentions and her brother's business connections. But here's the real shocker. During our heated conversation, my mother-in-law called. She had been eavesdropping on the call the other night when I blew up at my husband about not wanting any visitors. She confessed that she had been the one to suggest to my sister-in-law that her in-laws should come to the birthday lunch. She thought it would be a good opportunity for everyone to bond, especially since they were helping my brother-in-law so much. I couldn't believe it. My own mother-in-law, who I always thought was on my side, had been orchestrating this whole mess from behind the scenes. She wanted to integrate the families without considering our feelings or the special tradition we had for our daughter's birthday. The argument that followed was epic. My husband was furious that his mother had meddled so much in our lives. My sister-in-law was crying, caught in the middle of it all, and I was just shocked at how complicated things had gotten over what should have been a simple birthday lunch. After a lot of yelling and a few apologies, we all agreed to set some boundaries. My sister-in-law promised to be more transparent in the future, and my mother-in-law agreed to stop interfering. My husband and I decided that from now on, we'd be more assertive about our family traditions and who gets to be a part of them. Just when we thought things were settling down, my brother-in-law dropped another bombshell. He had been feeling guilty about the secret help from his in-laws and the strain it was putting on our family. So he decided to cut ties with them business-wise and try to make it on his own. He showed up at our doorstep with a peace offering, a family heirloom that he had been holding onto for years, which he now wanted our daughter to have. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.